Well, welcome to the Sonic Truth, guys. I'm Trevor. Over here to my left, I got Chris Yetter. And also, today, our special guest, Ben Johnson, in person.
Thank you, sir.
In person.
What's going on?
This is not a remote podcast today.
Nope.
And
Florida stuff.
And we are coming to you from the Audioscape Creative Lab. I think, is that what we're gonna call it? Creative Lab?
It's a work in progress.
Work in progress. So the dome, the Thunder Dome. But yeah, we're building it up right now. Put my phone in my pocket, and yeah, we got a Gustav in here, and you know what? There's no set photos or no set shots, so we can just describe everything.
Just gotta describe it.
Yeah.
Describe it. Yeah. So,
Ceiling's still being worked on.
yeah.
We hope the floor doesn't fall in.
I don't think it will. I think we're safe there.
The treatment is in the room, but not on the walls yet.
It's a work in progress.
Yes.
Still looks good though.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I
mean,
like where
we've done it in worse places.
Right.
So
so about that.
what? What'd you say?
I said so about that.
So about that. No. So, and Justin is off camera, being producer and the voice of God. So if you hear him chime in,
He's George Lucas today.
yeah, there you go. Nice.
I hate
burn.
it.
Yeah. He's feeling a little froggy today. A little froggy today. Yeah, there you go.
We were cooped up a couple of days ago.
So Ben, you're local.
I am. Yes, hour away.
Hour away.
Right up.
So
yep.
that's
just a shot down 95, and that's it.
So what brought you up here besides just wanting to
See
hang
you
out?
guys. Yeah,
Just
it's
hang-
been a while. Like I don't know. Like moved back to Florida about a year ago, and I don't know where the year went. Just kind of just flew by. Lots of stuff going on, but it's been a bit. I had to come see you guys. It's like because to be honest with you, it'd be pretty bad that we live an hour away from each other, and I see you guys in Cali, like. Because I haven't seen you since April in Cali, and then like we only hang out in Cali. Like we gotta figure that out.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's bad.
It is really weird.
That's why I was like, all right, no, we got to.
I don't know, but I mean, it
Yeah.
happens though.
It does. Well, life happens. Like we're, like it's just real. Like look at you guys. Like
I mean, we've been busy for the last
Yeah, I know.
year,
He's
so
all
maybe-
he's all grown
years.
up. He got a haircut.
I got a haircut. I grew
Yes,
up.
you did.
Like, I'm just like, I'm like here. I've entered adulthood. Took me
Right,
Took me
welcome.
almost 36 years. and I'm
welcome.
there.
Met your little man.
at
So
it.
like to
Yeah.
prove actually like parenting and yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
parenting and doing an okay job at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't want to set the bar too high.
Don't. No, you can never set the bar too high. Like,
Yeah, it just sets you up for
You have to be
disappointment.
a little like negligent. Like,
Of course.
it
But
builds
that's
character.
always. And
So-
character does a lot. in
Yeah.
life, that's for sure.
You don't want to have a kid that doesn't know how to do shit for themselves. So,
No. And there's too many of them. It's where it's like, that and just be able to communicate too.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
having conversation, like just most can't anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and that's with grown people too. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not just a small age as well. It's just like people knowing how to communicate, how to actually conversate with somebody. It's amazing.
I'm sorry, I stopped listening.
Oh, squirrel. But see, that's the other thing
No,
too.
no,
It's like,
no,
well,
I'm
no,
right there
with
with you.
conversations, they say a lot of people, they don't listen. They're actually just waiting to say what they want to say
No,
a
that
lot of times too. So that really is a thing.
That's an excellent point.
I
Yeah.
think I was probably guilty of that in like my 20s a lot. I
We
feel
all
like
are.
I feel everybody goes through that stage where you're just like, I just want to get in this one thing and just
Right.
like,
Well, that and when your attention span of a squirrel though too, you're just like, you know what, I got to tell you this or it's gone.
it is called undiagnosed ADHD, and
What happened?
we're
was-
living with it.
And we're laughing about it. It is what it is, right?
Well, no, it's it's like one of those things where it's just like, oh, something's wrong, but you're not gonna go take care of it. You're just gonna let people like tiptoe around you.
Right.
So you make it their problem.
That's it.
So, no, but no, thanks for coming up, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
of
course.
it's awesome. Like you've been hanging out here all day. Not all day. Like,
Nah,
since,
just
like,
the
one-
afternoon,
one-
just
like,
checking out.
yeah.
Like I'm in no hurry, but like seriously, like love you guys, love what you guys are doing. Just the company, everything you stand for. Like I have a couple of businesses as well, so like I just get it. Like I just a way better concept, just the whole thing. So I'm just down to support you guys. Love what you guys are doing.
And you used to always come to the old shop.
Yes.
And you'd bring bagels, hummus. You'd hook us up.
Yeah. Like snacks for days.
Yeah, brought.
You made sure we were fed.
I remember when you moved back down to Florida, you showed up too. You had your U-Haul, you had everything kicking.
Yep, had everything. Still hadn't even made it to my place yet, and it's like dropped off 60, 50 something bagels or whatever, straight from Jersey.
Yeah, that's back when there was like 13 of us.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. It was like you guys
seen
were
the
going.
growth. He's seen the growth firsthand. It was just like kind of going away from being like a uncle or something like that, and then you see like a kid every few years and just how much they grow.
Yeah,
you know,
you just be like, oh, you're an adult now? Okay.
It is. It's like, because I remember, the first time coming, probably 2020, 29, somewhere around there. And then you had a couple of spots out at your old place. And then the next time I come, I think I'd moved to Jersey a little bit. So it was like mid 2021, the first time I brought bagels, I think it was. And you're like, look at all of our new space. And then it was like, there was more. And I think, and then seeing this spot now, like, this is awesome. Like, you have so much room to grow for years too. So as you expand, it's just seeing the growth, just organically happen is awesome to see.
Yeah.
And very easy to get to from the interstate.
Right.
So,
oh yeah. No,
straight
and then literally our drive between the two, it's like all hell breaks loose right north of I-4 here. And it's like, I'm getting off last minute. Nope, it's easy. So
right before the Daytona exit, they're just like, how about the South Daytona exit? So
exactly. But yeah, no, this is a great spot. Like, easy on, easy off.
Yeah. No, I location.
100%.
It also helps that we're actually zoned to do what we're doing, and stuff like that. So there's that too.
Right. No fire marshal's going to be knocking on the door, being like, "What are you doing?"
Well, we did have parking issues at the last place you were talking about, and actually the fire marshal, they drove through like, you can't park past it. We have so many cars even here now that we have to alter the parking. It's like, it's kind of crazy that there's that many people, even here. It's like,
yeah, they got to start carpooling or something.
Right. Yeah, just off-site parking.
Yeah.
Or maybe, Chris, every morning in the Sprinter, you just leave a little extra early and you're just like, all right, come on, guys. You're like the school bus driving up, picking everybody up. Come on.
Not a bad idea. I mean, you go in between. You could probably cut out a few between here and there.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. And I mean,
but it's a good problem to have too.
Yeah,
like you said, I mean, you went from small to, you said you got over 30 people now or something, and growing. It's
over,
which is sick. It's great to see. And it was like the demand, just the response with everybody, all this stuff. But you guys make great stuff.
It's
it
people.
Makes sense.
It's everyone that supports us. They see what we're doing. They know what they're getting. We've been very transparent from the beginning. This is what it is. Here we're in a garage right now. Oh, here we're in an art studio building stuff. Now we're in this bigger building, and these are everyone that builds it. These are the machines that build our gear. It's people,
Yeah, right. No, it is. So you stand behind it, make it, and then it's sick.
Yeah, the cool thing about doing the podcast, in different parts of this building, people are sitting there going oh, there's another room?
Right.
So
you guys could do this for days.
we definletally could.
And then the furniture stories, I'm sure there's some stuff.
Oh, the furniture down there.
Oh, God.
Let's tell them about the cuck chairs. I'm like, yeah, the hotel was rented out half the warehouse, because they needed somewhere to store. And we're like, we're big enough. We'll take your money. So and but they were nice. A lot of the guys here. They moved within the last year, so they're closer by, but some of them need furniture. So they were just like, hey, take whatever you want.
Nice.
Yeah, that was rad.
Very, very nice of them. Very cool of them. I don't know their company name though.
They came from a hotel on Beachside, which they got rocked pretty bad with Hurricane Nicole, actually. After Hurricane Ian, there was Hurricane Nicole, and a lot of the hotels in that on Beachside, they're still recovering, but they were renovating and they needed a place to store their furniture. So.
Well, that worked out. You got so much space out there, and you probably didn't even know they were there.
No, not at all.
There was just tarps over it, so it literally looked like we were hiding new gear. So that's what it looked like. So people were like, "What's under there?" I'm like, "You mind your business."
Right. So about that.
But so. You have a studio down in Cocoa. So what's the name of your studio?
So it's Magnolia Studio, my buddy Cooper's place. I'd used it for a couple of years. I'd tracked with him, done a couple of records out of there. When I moved to Jersey it just became like a storage unit. Like he wasn't really doing too much of stuff. Like it's like because COVID happened, like he was just going around. And so like while I was in Jersey a couple years with Will up there, you know, I was like coming back. It was like this. I was like, what are you doing with this? Like, there's a drum room, there's a mix room, there's a whole separate thing. There's a house up front, so it's like we can have bands come in out of town, you know, fly. And so it's like it's a perfect setup. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, not much. And so I'm like, all right, let's see what happens and come over and try to take over and try to clean it over, you know, and clean it up, get it going again. So it's like this last year's kind of been a slow process of getting that going, but like I'm in the middle of a bunch of records. I mixed with headphones, so like I can mix with anything now. So like it doesn't matter where I'm at, you know. So but yeah, just like an hour south from here, down in Cocoa, about 30 minutes from Orlando, 15 minutes from the beach. So it's like it's a great setup, you know. So just it works.
Well, I mean, before you moved back to Florida, you were up in Jersey and you were working with what?
I was working with Will Putney.
Will Putney.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
So, I mean, how was that like experience?
It was an experience of a lifetime. I'll tell you, like, I first met Will 2019. I was interning with Andrew Wade in Orlando at the Audio Compound in Winter Park. Landed an internship. Didn't know how long I was going to be there. It was like he'd went through intern after intern. I even tried to get in with Andrew for a couple of years and didn't respond, didn't do anything. And then just stars aligned. I got in there after about 2 months with Wade. Will was coming down. He was working with A Day to Remember and then Ghost Inside. And so he's like, well, dude, you're an intern with the studio, you know, here, you know, you can just hang out if you want. And then I got in with him, kept in touch, made it, you know, you were speaking of hummus earlier. Like he was my biggest fan of the hummus. That's why I actually have a hummus company now. You know, but like kept in touch. And then I had my first song chart on the billboards back in 2020. And then I literally just texted him, dude, thank you for just letting me be a fly on the wall. Learned so much, just that whole experience. He's like, that's awesome. You want to work here? And this was June 2020. Like all tours were stopped. Music industry was at a halt. And so I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. And so I moved 6 months later, moved January 1st up with him. My first major label record I did was the new Fit for an Autopsy record. And then I did shows like 30 plus records with him up there. I was his assistant for a couple of years. So I did, you know, we worked with The Art is Murder, you know, Counterparts, Stray from the Path, Miss May I, love those guys. Like so many like really cool experiences, but like getting to work on these records with him, but watching how he did it at his space, you know, the inner workings of how these pro bands that are on top of their game are working. Like, because it's like, you know, we're all have the music experience. I was in, you know, bands before I signed my first record contract at 22. You know, so I come from the music side of thing before getting into, you know, producing. Yeah. But like now seeing, you know, the big boys, how they're doing, you know, all their stuff. It was
invaluable really, experience.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then what was really kind of eye-opening for me was, you know, I'm now kind of like the outside. So a lot of these guys, I'm not going to name names or stories, but like they would just come and be like, I can't believe I'm here or this, or, you know, because a couple, maybe a new member or something. But like seeing that no matter how high or how low on the pole or whatever, there's going to be people that are nervous or this or that. And so, you know, there's so much psychology that gets into it that I pay attention to when it comes to producing records and like working with bands, because how do you get the best out of each? And so seeing how Will was able to work and how all these guys work, you know, just to get the best, like it was a game changer. That, and then my ears have grown so much. Like we worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like it was nonstop. And if I wasn't doing his stuff, I was working on records myself, just like taking it. So
boot camp.
It was. Yeah, it was a 2-year, like if it was spread out, I kind of like say like Slayer songs. If they were actually like normal people speed, it'd be like a 15-minute song. So it was like I literally did like 8 years, like an entire PhD crammed into like, you know, 2 years. But it was experience of a lifetime. Like seriously, like love Will, insane. Steve, like seeing how a team works too. Cause it was like, he's got his right-hand guy, Steve said rules, like he's up his right-hand guy, like just the whole process. And then knowing Machine, you know, cause Will came from Machine, you know, under him. And, you know, just those guys have kind of just been like, hey, here, come with us. Cause Machine does all my mastering, all my stuff that I produce. Cause I'm like writing, and the whole time I'm with the bands, I'm like, I need an extra set of ears at the end because I'm too close to this.
Yeah, you get too attached for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, like, whenever they work on records, they feel like they just, like, become part of the band.
Right.
You know? So
I
'cause,
feel
like,
that, yes.
Yeah, I get that vibe from you. So definitely become a member. Plus, I've followed along with a lot of it on Instagram where you're in the studio and, like, you're setting up the drums, you're getting, like, you're helping get the drum sounds and everything.
Right.
Which your background as a drummer, that I would say that's like your first instrument, right?
Right.
Like
Yes. So yeah. Drums was my thing. Started piano, start on that, but yeah, drums is my like. I want to beat the hell out of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's
a fun
it's cool.
instrument.
It is. It's
Which is
like,
weird because you're so nice. You don't look like you have a violent bone in your body.
but that is a consistent drum thing. I really do feel like because a lot of us drummers, like the nicest people, we beat the hell out of stuff.
They
And
get
we
it out of
we get it out of our system.
Get it
It's
out of the
done.
system, yeah.
Right. It really, I do feel like that is a thing.
That's probably why all these bands, like their guitarist is always the problematic person.
Yeah, he's sitting in a
They're
room just doing this.
this.
Yep. This-
like, you know.
They usually blame
Right.
the bass player, but yeah.
I mean, well, yeah.
But I'm sticking up for guitar players here, but
I mean, I tried to as well, but yeah, no.
But yeah, no, I think that has a lot to, just that was more, drums always just kind of was, again, like being a kid, like my mom has pictures of me, like one or two, like I had like old Matchbox car, like cases or anything. It didn't matter, a pot, pan, whatever, just anything can be a drum.
Yeah.
And nowadays, really, you can. Like, you can turn any tap, any kind of thing into something.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Plus, like sampling like something where you're just like just one hit, and then you sample that, and you're like, bam, done. All right, cool.
Right.
There you go. There's your percussion.
Dude, yeah, I was at a producers like summit thing in Orlando a few years ago, and one of the presenters, he literally hit his chest and made like a kick drum out of it, like just recorded this.
Was it Matthew McConaughey?
No, but yeah, no, it was, no, it was. I think it was actually prior to that movie, so this was like but that's amazing. But like, just hit just once and like just threw a low shelf on it, just boosted it. But like, you can pretty much nowadays turn anything into any kind of thing. You never know, and it's just like, why not? If it sounds good, if you like it, and I think that's where coming on music, a lot of people kind of get bogged down whether it's too much thoughts, too much of a thing. It's like, do you like it? Are you inspired? Cool, move on. Like next. Like too
many options too.
Option paralysis is a thing. Like there's so many things. Like, hey, do you know the inner workings? No, and I don't care. Like, does it sound good? Need maybe this or whatever. But I really do think it's like, because I see a lot of people get lost, in just the options.
Yeah, and that's true. And at a certain point, the tools you use, you're trusting whoever designed that you don't need to know those inner workings so much. That there's that trust factor, and that's super critical because you don't want to be, what does this do? Like, what, how does the side chain on this work? Like if you're sitting there just trying to find that sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think just vision, whatever and that's what I think a lot of people too. It's like, you're trying to come from behind to be something you're not, as opposed to I approach everything or every band. I'm asked like, what's your goal? What's your vision? What's your thought? And then, so there's already a directive before we get going. So it's like, does this fit in it? Great, cool. Move on. It's like mind over matter, and you never know too. Like just experimenting with stuff. And there's probably, I'm sure you've probably had times where you've just experimented. And you're like, oh, all right, that's cool. And just, it goes a different lane that you never saw coming.
Yeah. Exactly. Nail on the head, I'd say.
Yeah, just tinkering and just getting like a unique sound and everything where you're just like, oh, I didn't know they could do that. Like that's one of my favorite things to do is just kind of just get lost in, like for probably too long of a time. That's probably why I don't freaking have songs out right now. Just because I'm spending too much time trying to get a damn sound.
One of the coolest guitar pedals I ever built when I had the guitar pedal company or whatever, and I had time to build guitar pedals. It was just like a delay pedal, uninteresting delay pedal. I mean, most of them are somewhat interesting, but this one was uninteresting. But I wired the bypass switch wrong in a feedback loop. So like when I go to bypass, it was just this crazy feedback loop, and it just turned it into this whole like cool, exciting pedal that like that's all I use it for now. It's just
just a happy accident. It's a Bob Ross thing. It's just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
there are no mistakes.
Right, but then you just roll it. That sounds sick.
Yeah. So that's like one of my favorite pedals now. And it was just some bullshit delay. I say bullshit just because it's like the chip that was used at the time is just like, is like trying to emulate like analog delay and it's not that good. So, so it turned it into something.
You still have that pedal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It survived the flood?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See?
Nice.
One of the ones that survived. Yep.
CBC pedals. Survives floods. So,
and hurricanes and all the things.
well, after you throw it in rice, probably.
Right.
Just like the amp on the EMT 140, right?
That survived.
Yeah,
like, just through that.
remember the plate when you came? We had I don't know if you remember if we had it there when you came by last time, but we had an EMT. We have an EMT 140 plate, and the thing got flooded halfway through it.
Oh, no kidding.
Like, so the whole amplifier section was underwater, and we took it in a bucket, like a bin, like those plastic bins. We filled it with rice and we just threw it in there, like shortly after the flood, because luckily the water did drain pretty quick, and we just sure enough hooked it up. Works great.
No kidding.
Just after throwing it in rice for we let it sit there for
it really
2 weeks.
is a thing. It pulls. There's so much little stuff, and then we're pulling the swamp air out of it already anyway, so it's a little accustomed to it.
Yeah, it works great still.
Works great for that, but according to Ben Folds, not for blackberries though. Okay.
So you found, but that's where he found the cutoff.
He found the cutoff. Like he's like, nope. He's like, Kesha told me that it was it was supposed to work and it didn't. So
it didn't fail.
So being up there working with Will, what are like some stuff that you learned like along the way? Like obviously, like before that, were you working in any other studios with outboard gear? And
so no, I was doing more. I was in the box. It's funny you asked that because that's kind of like it was like day 3 with Will. I was interning, and he's like Jeremy from Day Remember. He came in with like his like Neve console thing he got from Vintage King, like more than the car I was driving in on. And it's like, and I'm seeing all these things, and Will's like, all right, take this and run it into this in the back of this. And I had to look in front of him, like 3 guys in Day Remember. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of that. Like, I'm in a box. I just print in. I'm like, just whatever. And so he's like, here, come, because I'd been there for 2 months. This is Andrew Wade's stuff. Like, he didn't even touch this stuff. It was just sitting there. And he's like, here, let me show you. Told the guys and like, stop, like show me like 10 minutes. Like, so here, this is what I'm doing. This is why. And then just like taking the time on that, like that was huge, But I think that's why, I think willing to admit, hey, if I don't know anything, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to sit here and act like I know. Like,
it's going to waste more time. Yeah,
right.
You're just going to waste more time, and people appreciate it if you're just honest and forthright. Yeah, there's,
and there was, he said there was a couple of guys that did that, acted like they knew what they were doing, screwed stuff up, and that was the last moment they ever worked for him,
Yeah.
But like, when I went up there, I think there was, so like, obviously learning the basics, but I would say the number one thing that I got out of this that cemented everything is trust my instinct. And I know it sounds kind of crazy because everybody's looking for like, oh, well, he does this like trick or this kind of thing. But the one thing that they all focused on and Will always did, and these guys in the band, and I kind of worked like this, but just seeing this was giving them the confidence. They're like, hey, they were making the best that they did. Nobody was questioning, you know what I mean? They're just like, hey, this is the song that we're trying to do. This is great. Feeding off of each other. Watched one band counterparts, like watching those guys work. Everybody was on the same team. Everybody was writing in a different room. I'd never seen that before. Because usually it's like a couple of bands. It's only one guy.
It's one guy,
Seen extreme things on that side where 3 guys just hanging out doing nothing.
Just but then off in the corner. Yeah.
Literally waiting until the end of the day. Or, so there was, but like, trusting like, here, I hear this because I'm going to hear this music or this song or this piece. Because I'm like, I would have maybe done something different. But like, maybe we were in the ballpark. Maybe we were completely different. But just observing, watching, doing record after record and song. Because, a lot of people, we wait, artists, they'll be like, I got to wait till I'm inspired. Great. Like, can you imagine if like somebody's like flying from Vegas, coming into work with one of us, and like, here, and you know what? I'm not feeling inspired today, but you have to pay, and then hopefully I'll be inspired in 3 months, try back again. Like, we have to be on our game 7 days a week. Somebody's coming in, band, it's like, there was records, band would leave 5:30 at night. I'm taking them to the airport, flying out, and then we got another band coming at 8 a.m. the next day. Like, there was no, and so it's just like, just commit this is our moment, you know. So having that that was a huge thing. I really thought, you know,
that's a really cool way to operate though, because it forces decisions to be made, and you have to pick and commit.
Right.
You just have to. So, and that is what that art form is in that space and in that time. Like that's what that is. I think that's a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah.
But,
and it's kind of, and too, like I kind of bring it to bands. I'm like, we've just now listened to this song 8,000 times over and over. No, I don't ever want to hear the fucking thing ever again. You know, but like you're never in your entire life are you going to ever be more immersed in this song, you know? So like there was a moment, like I think early on when they were trying to find a line for a lyric and they sat there and the one part literally looped for 2 hours. Nobody got up. Nobody said anything. Here, you got the, oh, no, I don't know. Here. And then literally, all right, we got it. And then that was it, you know? But like, you're in that moment where it's like, you're never going to get it. And so it's kind of like a weird thing because we're all in this hurry, hurry, hurry. But at the same time, it's like taking the time to get it right and doing it. But it's now we're doing it and we're done. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just agreeing.
That squirrel moment. You're like, I don't know anything.
I was just agreeing. Like, yeah. Like he said.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't have lyrics. I don't have anything.
Right.
No, I do write lyrics, but yeah, no. But I don't know. I used to one album. Like, I don't know if this has ever happened with anybody that you've ever done, where they're just like, I don't really have anything for this part, but then they just do something like off the cuff at the mic, and that's what makes the record.
Yeah,
like
there's
just improv.
There is, because I think there's it's kind of funny because like when I kind of approach vocals, I love writing with bands. So like I play drums, I play guitar, I play bass, I write vocals, I write songs. So I do kind of the whole thing. So I'm holding the hands with bands. Like when they come in, like I can be as much involved or as little, you know, to fit into the pieces. When it comes to like the songwriting and like vocal kind of thing, I think I kind of push some people when they're stuck, like, because you're gonna like almost hum like a melody or something kind of is gonna be there. And so like that initial, when you're kind of like that weird random thing that kind of turns into something, because like you're just trusting your instinct as opposed to thinking too much up here. And it's like, oh, I can't do this or whatever reason. And so there are some times where just random, and I kind of feel the same way. It's like, you can take any like vocal line. Let's say I just use a basic thing. I'm going to go across the street. What if you need less? I'm going to go over there, or I'm going, you know, but it's like you can cut them down, how to kind of form fit everything, I feel, you know, and so like kind of like it's basic thing. So even if somebody kind of hums like a thing, or even going like, the random thing is like, you know, a Korn song like Jonathan Davis used to do, like crazy, you know, but like, but I could see, right, but like some of that kind of stuff, but I guarantee you that pattern, you could come with some kind of, you know, line that would fit some of those things. So there, I've seen sometimes where like this crazy off the wall thing is like, nope, that's staying, you know.
Or sometimes it's just that, you know, you go through like a million takes and it's always, like, oh, the first take was perfect. You know, like,
right.
It's just like, because they were just comfortable or they were just, you know, maybe you almost get too warmed up sometimes for a particular part, you know? So
I think that in preparation, you
yeah,
know, that's the thing is like, you know, having time, you know, if you can prep for it, because I want my vocalists to like sing it and feel it, not read it.
Yeah,
that's a
tough.
big thing, because it's like you can tell, you know, there's sometimes even when I'm working with a vocalist back and forth, like you sound like you're reading that. Like throw that away, turn it around, and just like, you know, those 5 words.
Yeah, you got to memorize. Yeah,
you know, it's like, and that's the difference. I think that's the, you know, hearing that, and that was another thing is like making sure the emotions in there, making sure what needs to be on that song to be that connection, because everything is just recycled nowadays. Like it sounds great, but I feel there's not a lot of that deep connection, and taking that extra time really
especially on a
does.
vocal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, yeah, we did a ton of records with Will, but like a lot of those were mixed jobs that we didn't produce it, we didn't track it, we didn't record it. It was just coming in. But like, there's only so many that, you know, he's doing, but like those are 8 quality records that year that are unbelievable, that kick ass, the attention to detail. We left no stone unturned, as opposed to we just did 55 records and who cares? And you don't even know what you're getting, you know, and it's just mindless matter that just gets scrolled, and it's doesn't, you know, stand up to time. Like that's like, you want to like listen to it. There's no connection.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no. For some reason, I get the impression that Will is one of those guys that will say no to bands just because he's like, no, you're not ready.
All day long.
Like
all day long. He does it with artists like, hey, nope, like we'll name names, but like a vocalist comes in and like lyrics, he's like, nah, I don't know about that. They're like, let's look at this, and it just is what it is. And it's just like, you know, but it's, you know, he's not cocky with it. It's like it's that's what I mean. There's so many, like, it just he sees it, he knows what he wants, he's been around it, he knows like so many things, you know, what it takes to get to there, you know.
Well, I mean, he's doing like the job of a producer. I mean, like you want a producer to go, hey, that's dog shit.
Right.
Like, do
All day
something
long.
better. You can do something better. I've heard better from you.
Right.
So do it. Like, you want them to like push it. Like, because anybody can sit there and just go,
right.
Nope, that wasn't it. So like, oh, you were out of time. Like, yeah,
right.
like anybody
like,
can do that.
Yeah. Like coaching
all day.
it, no, that's the thing is like how to play this part better, how to do this, like trying to improve, trying to push, like, yeah, the whole time the song, how do we make the songs better? Like you'd mentioned earlier, like I look at myself, you know, like we're like the 5th member, the 6th member or whatever. Like even in my contracts with bands, I'm like, here, if there's 5 people, then I'm your 6th member. You want me to write, you want me to do this. I just want an equal percentage. It's not a thing either, you know, it's not I can't think of the word or whatever, but it's not my way or the highway. You know, it's like it's the band's vision, but like we don't have that personal take. And that's where a lot of it, especially with a lot of bands, they're so connected to their riff or whatever. And a lot of guys that've been around, they're like, I don't even care where the riff comes from because their fans like, oh, they think this such and such guitar wrote it, and they don't know that the janitor wrote it or this guy. Like, but you know what I mean? They don't care where it comes from. And that's the thing, is like just wanting to win. How do we make this record, your performance, the record, the music, the best we can?
That's the recipe for success right there. Right? You know, that's what it is. It doesn't matter where the ideas come from. You know, they're getting out there and they're the best they could be.
Right.
Simple.
And same with, you know, saw it even up there, but like I've even had my experience to where there's one band I tracked, 2 killer guitar players, but one of them is on another level that's ridiculous. And the other guy, he was the sad man out. Like he wasn't too thrilled because I don't even think he made a part on the record. Nobody knows, but like, you know, but like except him. But like, it's like, dude, you would have been this guy on every other record that you're in a band, but like this guy's in your band and he plays the part the best. Like that's it. Like it's not a ego thing. We're ripping this out. It's not nobody cares. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the best for the song? What's the best for that take and the performance as opposed to somebody's feelings? And, you know,
that's the hardest thing when you're a member in a band and you play a part, you're just used to thinking about your part, playing that part, and then you want to hear that part on a record. You know, there's a psychological aspect to that for sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys dealt with that.
It's
like
and
a lot.
that's where it's like, you know, it's not and that's the tough, because it's like, I love these guys. I love these people. You know what I mean? There's a friendship. And that's one thing I saw too with like Will, all those guys, year after year, like some of those bands, Counterparts, Stray, like it's every 2 years they keep coming back and then they're in the cycle, but they're friends, but they get it, you know? And that's the thing, is like separating the personal from the business side of things, of like, hey, this is just like cut and dry, no offense, you know, but like, it's, you know, trying to take that personal out, you know. And that's why I say like a lot of the job of being a producer is being a psychologist, because it's like, how do you keep a good, you know, mood in the studio? How do you keep people on the same page, you know, on the same kind of thing? So like moving forward, there's a lot more that kind of comes into that, you know, when you strip away just the top layer of let's make a great song.
Bands have always been a fragile thing too. Like you got a lot of people, a lot of different heads. You know, that's just crazy in general, like trying to keep that balance. It's just this volatile thing always. I feel like, at least, you know, my experience is being in bands and that. So,
I mean, it's like personalities, like, you know, like they're going to clash eventually, you know, and especially if you're in a touring band. Like, if you're in a touring band,
Jesus Christ.
like, like I'm just saying, there's this band called Pup from Canada, and they have a song on their second record. The opening song is called "If This Tour Doesn't Kill You, Then I Will."
Right.
And it's all about being fucking sick of your bandmates being on tour.
Right.
The whole entire time.
Lock yourself in a small box with your best friend. On day 2, you hate how that asshole ties his shoes.
Yeah.
Like you're like, you look stupid doing that. I hate you. Like you are like, it doesn't like it, and it just gets worse. You know what I mean? It's like, I know it's petty, but like there's, like you said, personalities. There's,
I don't want to watch this YouTube video.
right.
Again.
Oh, this album again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I drive with this. This is my luggage. It's like, no.
Well, especially before you were able to stream everything on your phone, like on tour or whatever, you have like that CD booklet. You're flipping through
CD
it.
booklets, and they always flop around the van, and then
it skips in the
And they're
same
all
spot.
burned disc.
there's one guy that's got the TV tray that takes up all the space for his laptop, so he can do his and
Right.
you want to just throw that thing and run it over.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And then if you were in a band, like my band, you always have the one guy who never would tell you when he had to stop to go to the bathroom. So like all you hear is just something in a bottle, and you're just like, dude, you're like,
Oh, every band's got that guy.
you're like, put it away.
This is why I'm a producer.
Drink more water
This
too.
is-
That stinks.
This is why I do what I do. It's like I can make the music and you go piss in your van. Like just go away.
Well, I feel like if if you're like in your say like you're like in your like late 30s into your 40s and you're still like in a van touring, maybe stick to the local stuff at that point, because you should be upgrading to like a bus or something by then. Maybe not in this economy, but like but maybe an RV. I don't know, but
Just
like something where you
yes.
have more space, because
'Cause
a
space
bunch of
is-
grown ass men pile.
No, it's only a matter
all
of
together.
time. Like it's only a matter of time. There's going to be some disagree, this or that. People will take different things, and then one thing that I have to like throw out, like that's completely not really touched on when it comes to touring, is not everybody's cut out to tour.
Oh, no,
So there's
not at all.
so many babies. There's so many people that can't handle it. There's so many, and maybe they have good intentions, but it's like never been away from home. Don't know. Never know what it feels like. You're fighting with a girlfriend, but you're driving the other way, and the only thing you want to do is go fix this. So then it's like you have family dynamics that come into play depending on how far it goes. It's like you start before, like again, like there's these so many extra things, and not everybody can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, and that also can go over into the studio and recording process as well, because a lot of these bands, like you said, like maybe they're flying in from Vegas and they're coming in to like spend a few weeks working on an album. Well, they might have just had like found out some bad news or something like that,
Right.
and they're still coming and showing up, and you're still getting like expecting a great performance out of them.
Right. No.
Anyway.
No,
And,
that's-
and who knows, that could fuel that great performance too. Like, you know, like
Yeah, it
if
goes
there's
both
both
ways.
Yes,
it can go
whatever.
both ways.
emotion with
Yeah.
that, with experience. But also, I heard some great advice, and I've kind of stuck with this. My girlfriend knows it. A few people hate it, and she's not a fan. But like when I'm with a band, like I don't look at my phone. Like that's why I miss most of stuff, because somebody wrote. It was a point, like you said, like there was like maybe a medical emergency or a family situation or something. And not saying that
That's
it doesn't
understandable.
need attention, but like depending on I don't think it was that full extreme, but like something that will affect you mentally. So then now I have an artist that's here that's taking me for my time, and I'm giving it, and then all of a sudden I'm not in a frame of mind because I just heard something that just completely wrecked my day.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of that double edge. Is it something that can hold off for a couple hours? So there's kind of that weird thing, but I know what you're saying. It's like it can derail the entire thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like I've seen bands that sign to a major label, and then go to the studio to go make that album, and then they break up while they're in there. It's just like, dude, like you just got handed something
Right.
like that you worked so hard for, and then the pressure just got so big that they're just like, you know what, we can't do this.
Right.
And
They talk themselves out of it.
Yeah.
You see that happen a lot. Lots of people, they put up roadblocks in front of themselves, and that's
that's something that comes up a lot. Like
We're always our
we've-
own worst enemy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
When
We're our
when it
worst
comes to
critics.
that.
We're our own worst roadblocks. So,
Right.
I always used to tell bands that I used to work with, like, if you got to step away just like for like a day or two or whatever, just get your head straight, go for it. Like, just whatever, like whatever's going to get you back into.
Transparency, honesty. I think, that's not a
Communication.
thing anymore. Like, you're right. Communication, like not being afraid, because it's like, because if you're in a band, you're with these people, these should be your brothers. These should be the people you trust.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
then you
So-
realize that a band is just a bunch of egomaniacs.
right.
Or they got good intentions. They're
Right.
Like,
It does.
I've been playing this
It's
riff
joking.
on tour, and you know, I want to hear it on the record. I pissed in a bottle for this. You know, you know.
Now that's
Let me
the
hear my
name of an
fucking
album.
riff.
I pissed in a bottle for this.
You know, put my riff on there. I don't care if it's worse. I don't care if the rhythm's not as good.
Damn it, man.
Throw a delay pedal on it, it'll hide it. Like,
Right.
so crank up the gain, it'll hide how bad my playing is.
Right.
So
Oh.
every punk band ever is right
Yes,
there.
yeah.
So
He just turned that off.
but yeah. So going back to working with like in the studio and coming out of the box, and like what were some of like the things? What are some like learning experiences that you had from going from being in the box to stepping outside the box, like when it comes to mixing and everything?
Like
how would-
incorporating like hardware and different things
yeah,
and
like
stuff. Like
I mean, like from working in the box for so long,
right.
and then all of a sudden you're presented where you have
Yes.
hardware.
Yes. You know, I tell you, I think it's it didn't really, again, like I said, I keep a simple approach with more of like, what's the song? And then it's like, I'm not made of tons of money. Like I have a millionaire's appetite on a homeless man's budget. That's why I cook, that's why I started the hummus thing, but like just being real, just like,
That's helpful.
and so there's, so there's tools, there's things, that you can get for cheap. There's so many free things that are out there now that like somebody just to get started if you're inspired or whatever. But I think is the natural progression as you grow. And then, and like I told you, like the biggest thing I think with, my 2 years up with Will, my ears grew. Like I hear everything now, like almost to a fault. It's not always great things, but just being able to hear. And so I think early on, like there's a lot of things that can kind of pass by, like compression takes years to be able to hear, certain things of like truly like, what it's actually doing stripped down. But then as I've kind of grown, and then it's like, I'm almost like a Neanderthal. Like I hate the clean sounding like records. Like I don't want it to be, I want my stuff to be like, and I do this, like, it's like 2 seconds away from just like falling apart, but I want more, just the energy, more extreme, more that kind of stuff. And not only just like the width, the power, like just the way stuff hits when I threw your bus comp on. And I've, see a lot of different things. And I just ran one of my normal mixes and it was night and day. Like it would just, there's these little, like not so subtle things that happen, but just like, it made my mixes just do so much more than I could ever get from a Waves bus, comp that was like an SSL thing or,
Yeah.
but I think, just being able to hear the difference too, like once, as I had progressed in my career. So I think it's kind of a natural progression, obviously too, but then it's like, what's going to be the best that I can get the overall? And so it's like, as opposed to just like a preamp channel or something like that, bus comp is on every mix that I've done ever since then. It's like instant, like, holy shit. Like,
I think you really notice a difference, like with the bus comp stereo devices too. Like very like it, like what it does on a stereo, like the stereo image of a mix in particular. It's like that's worth the price of admission, right? Alone, as far as like you turn that on, and I've said it before, but I've had people send me clips, and I hear the difference in the stereo image on an iPhone speaker. That's ridiculous. Like, cause like everyone always makes a joke like, oh, this shit's gonna be listened to through an iPhone. Well, I listen to it through an iPhone and I can hear the difference through the iPhone. So,
Yep.
and those things. And like you said, once you hear the difference and what you're like, you can't unhear it. And you're just like, all right. And that's where, and I think, and that's a thing. And then too, like my dad was a computer programmer. And so going back to computers, you're only as good as the 0 and the 1. And so like, I love sound design, so just nerding out on like synths and like hardware synths. So you look at that, and so you see some of those, like watch the masterclass with Deadmau5. He's just going, but it's like there's no steps. It's just like you can feel every frequency and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like you get in a computer, it's like, you know what I mean? same, I think, with the analog, to where it's like, yeah, you have a programmer that is trying to get the idea, but nothing will ever, you know, get with an analog signal that's running through something that just reacts the way that it's supposed to be, as opposed to like, oh, this was supposed to add top end, so let's just program this in. Because you really don't know what's being programmed into it. You're just now getting badass equipment that is reacting in real time to what you're throwing it.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, it's at a certain point, yeah, it's just like there's nuances. Like, so like, you know, we're starting to do some plugins as well. And I think it's cool. You've got one thing that like this is, but there are variances in analog devices that like people do not talk about enough, I feel like. And I think those variances should be embraced. Sometimes people want precision, and I understand the whole mastering angle. This is different from that. This is like you buy a hardware unit, that is your hardware unit. That's part of your sound. And that's an important thing. And that's not, you know, even putting down plugins, you can get a really good emulation of one really good unit, you know, and that's like what our plugins are, you know, with the reverb, you know, and other future things that might come. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's still that one unit. So like sometimes even like with the reverb, someone's like, yeah, my reverb sounds maybe a little bit different in this aspect or this aspect. And that's great.
Right. Because it gives it its character. It gives it
that's
its
your
own
reverb.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and you can make so many of those. And like I said, there are these slight things. See, you know, and it's funny you mentioned that, because it's like, I see a lot of guys in the audio thing. They're like, oh my God, this has to be the exact same. Nobody knows what it's even like trying to like really sound like. And then it could be trying to be emulating the one that was done wrong because somebody wired it wrong or whatever. You know, it's like, who cares? Like, is it, you like it, you're inspired again. Does it sound good? Is it there? Like,
great tools inspire. Great tools inspire performance.
Right.
Like, you know, you have a microphone in front of a singer, no compression, no EQ. And I guarantee you, if you throw like an 1176 on there, that performance is going to be different in real time while they're tracking with that.
Right. Yep. Trevor, we were talking about this before that, because I was like, that was one thing, you know, it's no secret that Will's like, you know, the blue stripe into the distressor into a, you know, a metal vocals like is a thing. But that confidence, I had artists that had never worked, you know, so seeing guys that had worked with it, but then I had a couple of artists that came up that had never, you know, tracked. And so I'm emulating these in the box, you know, in some things, you know, and just the way that even the vocals hit, just the clarity of, you know, it just does the thing, you know.
Oh,
and it's just like, and the harder you hit it, it's not the same way as you can hit on a plugin. Like
it's different, even different in post, like tracking with it. Like it's still like not as much of a thing that's talked about as it should be. And we talk about it on the podcast all the time, but tracking with these compressors is really, really important. Like, you know, you just picking, commit, and finding your sound and just going for it, you know?
Yeah, that's why I was asking you about that downstairs. So I was just like, so do you like track with all of your stuff, or you do it like after? Like, what do you do? So,
yeah. So I mean, I think it depends, you know, but obviously, you know, with the, you know, we got the distressor, we got a bunch of hardware stuff at the studio, but like don't have the blue stripe, you know, but that's like one of the things. So like,
you know where to get it.
No, I know. And I'm going to, but
walk downstairs.
There's too many decisions, but yes.
Walk downstairs. There's one right there. Right.
I've heard about this one.
Oh, you heard about that one? Yeah.
I think that's all we'll hear about that one.
Oh, yeah. Touche.
But I appreciate the offer, though.
Yes,
but I think, you know, it really does. You know, it just, and I feel like I said, you know, with the zeros and the ones, the way somebody like program. But again, it's like, are you inspired with it? Are you not? And it's like, I don't look at, it's not the end all be all. So if you don't have hardware, like who cares? Like I did my first 2 songs that charted on the billboards were all in the box. Like nothing on it, you know, and it was just early on, hey, just didn't matter. So it's like you can do, and that's where I think too is like I focus more on like the song too, but like when you have these amazing tools that do, like I run, like I do your SSL on just like the 10, like hit it hard on just a drum comp and just run it, smash it just on my shells, print it, done. Like I've not been able to get anything that I've printed on, on the box with different compressors and different things. It just does a thing. Cool. Next move, and just, and it's like, it doesn't need to be this long drawn, thought out thing. It's like, stuff sounds great. I think I even posted recently on one of your guys's like Instagram posts or something, but it was just like, hey, it sounds great on acoustic guitars and whatever. Like any of these things, these tools, like, and think outside the box too. It's like, hey,
literally
try it, see what happens.
Literally think outside the box.
Right.
Work
exactly.
outside the box.
So that's it. We're headed there.
They are. It is an interesting kind of thing. Hardware is just sort of genre bending, or just it goes across all genres, of music. That these tools are just tried and true. That you're going to use it for. If you're a person and say you just play guitar, you just have your set of gear that's just geared towards that, and your headspace is that, or drums. It's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I love about all this equipment, all this gear, is just, you can just so general purpose, anything. And it's like, and it inspires creativity. So I knew, like, I was building guitar pedals. I knew, like, when I walked in, like, I walked into a lot of studios, but when I walked into a studio that had a bunch of hand-built boutique stuff for the first time, I was like, that's what I want to do.
Nice.
Yeah. I knew right then in that moment. Yeah. So
and look where we're at now. Like, right. So, I mean, like, it's paid off.
Right. Well, that's why you said tried and true stuff, but like it's not genre specific, like I have, like, I'm finishing up a record with an artist that she's literally, it's metal, but there's EDM, there's pop, there's slow stuff, there's like all things. And so that's where I need something, a lot of things I look to where, like I said, all this stuff works with no matter what source you're doing, It's like, put it with anything and that's the thing, is like, find what works for your sound or for your thing. And I think it goes back to, like I said, knowing what you like to hear and what you don't. And it's like, and no two things are going to be alike, which I said, I like that, it's like, I don't want the same thing. Cause, and even too, like I've looked at like behind the scenes, like mixing stuff. We all three could have the same stems and have the same amount of tools, and we trying to emulate the same thing, and
it'd be all different.
You're never going to get the same mix ever or same outcome. And so it's like, embrace that. Like, don't try to be, that's not tried and true. I'm sure you've had so many people, you say this is supposed to be, I'm just spitballing, but like, this is supposed to be like this exact thing, and it's not because this dumb little, and like, seriously, like, who cares? Like, this is something that is amazing, that works, that like, if 99 out of 100 people you put side by side would never be able to even hear the difference if they put 2 and 2. People just like to argue just to argue. I don't get that.
Sometimes,
like,
I mentioned variances and devices being built, but even old devices, old units, the variance, a lot of times those tolerance on those parts are greater. And, so it's like, it doesn't sound like this one vintage unit. Well, guess what? Maybe let's aggregate 10 vintage units, right? And then let's find a range and let's get 10 of ours or 10 of whatever, if there is that. But, it's funny you mentioned the one little dumb thing. We're those guys that find that one little dumb thing.
Same. That's why I mentioned it, because we're on it. Right?
We find that one little dumb thing, whether it's, we could easily, sometimes there's some modern subs for like, we're talking about the 260 VU downstairs. There's modern subs that you can use for some of those, some of the transistors or some of the chips that are used in there. Or even just, even the 260, like we auditioned, they have silver can versions of these ICs, these CA chips that we use in there, and they're more costly. And then there's the standard IC kind, and the originals actually toggle between, different eras for what they use. And we just auditioned and listened to them in the same unit, and the silver cans were worth the extra expense for sure.
Right.
You can hear the difference. Yeah, hear the difference in the punchiness, everything, just from those.
Right. And then once you hear it, you can't not hear it. And that's just the way.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. A couple extra bucks a chip, and there's like,
but it's worth it in the end. It's like, but that's what it needs. Like, and that's the thing, it's like there's certain things that just aren't, up for debate. It's like, you just not cutting that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, like people sometimes even ask me, they're like, they get all business-like, and which I'm not, but, and they're like, what's your margins on this? Like, I worry about how it sounds and can we swing it. That's it. Like I don't sit there and crunch numbers like that to that degree. It's all working back from the design. What's the best it can be, and then it's just priced accordingly to where, you know, hopefully someone can afford it that's making music, because I want people that are making music using this stuff, not people that are, you know, like, you know, own their own private island and just want to like, no, like, exactly. Yeah. To show their friends. No, we want music to be better because this stuff exists. Well, like that's really the mission of the company. Like this, like
and it shines through. Look at your growth. Like that's what I'm saying. Like over the like people, and they get that. Like just the way you run it, the way you are, like personal, like all you guys, like, you know what I mean? Just that in it.
Yeah, that's it. Man. Like it's a really simple, beautiful thing, you know, to us. We're trying to, and we're not, you know, so we're not sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere, you know, making a ton of money from this stuff. We're just doing it because, somebody they use it on this latest record. We're listening to that record as we're building this stuff. Right. You know?
And that's awesome. And that's forever. Like, which is sick. Like, you know, you're like, I'm a part of this, and all these things. And, you know, like that's fulfilling just in and of itself.
Yeah. We're the guys tailgating in the parking lot.
Right. Yes.
Like, drinking Natty Light. That's us. We're the guys that you don't want to bring home to your parents.
No,
but you will.
We're still handle our own.
Some of us are older, but still lie to themselves that they could go in a mosh pit and
I've done that.
Bust up their ankle and then not come into.
My gosh, that's very specific.
I had a buddy that blew out. had a friend blew out his knee at a Machine Head show. He was like, saw his wall pit coming. Like we were on just the backside of it. And all of a sudden, just look over, dude's gone. I'm just like, he's like, I thought I'd kind of just stop it. So he just leans into it, crushed him out. He was done. Like, ended up giving surgery. Like, it was bad.
I'm a big fan of when I show up to a show and there's seats. I'm like, I like
seats. I like seats.
I'm like, yes. That means nobody's, and especially if I get it like right in front of like the sound booth, right? Because that's the best sound in the place.
Because it's only made for that.
It's just like, the guy's mixing to his preference, you know. Right. So people are like up front. They're like, man, that band sounded like shit, and it's like, you couldn't even hear them.
Right, because you're literally right up front.
Yeah, exactly. You're hearing their floor monitor.
The back of their floor monitor.
Yeah, you're hearing the back of the floor monitor. Like, because that guy doesn't have in-ears in. Right. So, you know, only the drummer's got in-ears in, and he's hearing all of it. The singer's like, I just need this guitar. Right? And that's it. So you're just hearing you're hearing a muffled singer and a muffled guitar and an
they're next to the bass player, the guitar player.
Oh God! And all you hear is,
dude, I'm gonna tell you, like, if that's not like pro tip of like right underneath, like right at the board, you know, or right behind. So like,
you want to be right at the board.
My first time out to Red Rocks, like if you've not been, you have to go. Go catch a show. I don't care what it is. Go. But I saw it was Devin Townsend Project, Gojira, and Opeth. And they actually filmed the Gojira and Opeth ones. But
sick.
I sat 3 rows behind, because it's, you know, it's just in the canyon or whatever. I sat 3 rows behind the mix board on that. And it's already in like the most amazing sounding venue ever, naturally. Like, seriously, like that's where I love that spot at shows, but also too, because I want to watch the floor, because I actually am watching crowd reaction, because I want to see how people are live. Because like when I'm with the bands, all right, it's cool, it's in the studio, but how's this going to translate live? And so like I really want to take that connection too, because it's like, and so best seat, best view, and then you can see everything, and then like just leave me alone. I just want to sit.
I'll be out there. I'm actually going to be out there in May, so I'm actually going to look and see what is happening
to go
like at Red Rocks.
The last show I saw was 9 Inch Nails, and I almost, on the way back from my Grand Canyon trip, Beck was playing like a few hours where I was supposed to jump on the plane, and I was like, jeez, that might actually be cool too. But like anything you go, even just check it out, but like any show, like seriously,
awesome,
unbelievable, like really, really cool.
Awesome. Well, so we have reached the end of the podcast.
Have we? Well, yeah, I've been talking about it.
The only reason why I would say that, like there is another podcast that is booked, not for us, but for somewhere else. So like, so we got to get out of here.
Sounds good. But no, I appreciate it.
Also, we're closed, man. You left us. You kept us here after hours. What is wrong with you? No, I'm just messing with you.
That's on us.
That is on us. That is on us. Or you could bleep out his name. It's on Brian Tarkin for showing up so late. No, I'm just joking.
Y'all never bleep
joking.
anything. Let's be real.
No.
We can, no. But
It's too much work.
but
You're right.
usually there's
Gotta own it. Gotta get it.
Usually
That's why I said
there's
commit.
usually there's like a crazy question thing at the end. We're not going to do that here because we're going to see you in a week and a half out in California.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll do it there.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Yep,
And
of
then
course.
I'll film it. I'll send it over to Justin. He'll throw it on the back end of this.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good?
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
Anything
See you
you guys
in a
want.
week.
No,
See you in a week.
seriously, man.
See you
So
in a
yeah,
week.
see you in 2.5 weeks.
Absolutely.
Or no, a week and a half. So
Yeah.
But obviously you've watched every single one of these. Can you please look at that camera and you tell us? Just tell them our famous sign off.
I'm terrible. No, can't do it.
Perfect. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. All right.